I'm feeling alright, 'cause I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright, baby, I'ma have the best freaking night of my life, and wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride, baby, don't you know I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright.
4th and 18. He's given time. He wants Jefferson. Climbs the.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Moving the Chains here on Team NBS Media. My name is Ashmere, and we need to talk about all of the games that happened this weekend because, as we all know, there was some chaos last night and some craziness on Sunday. I am joined here with the trio plus Team NBS's favorite Eagles fan, Thomas. Everyone, welcome. Glad to be here with you guys.
Likewise.
Good evening. And
Okay, well, we know why Thomas is here, so I guess we should kick it off with last night's
no,
crazy ending.
no.
Thomas is hurt. If we did a predictions video on Sunday, would we have all picked the Eagles? I need to know now.
Oh, I would have. Yeah, I thought that was a bounce back game for sure for them.
I might not have. I might have.
Oh,
I might
okay.
have lone wolfed on that one. That was one.
Even with no Geno Smith.
Seattle's a very finicky group, so
Sure.
exactly what we got from Seattle is what.
Okay, Thomas, you weren't cursed by us, so why don't you talk about what went wrong? Because we all watched the end of that game, and I think we all have comments on it. So I'll let you start.
All right. I plan on being as professional and as PG as I possibly can. So let's just get this out the way now. Matt Patricia is calling the defensive plays last night, and actually he did a pretty good job, all things considered. But again, this is another week to where the defense didn't execute, and they didn't get any pressure. They were leaving guys open across the middle time and time again. And as it got late, they held DK Metcalf all game long to practically nothing, just for the late in the fourth quarter to transpire. Then all of a sudden they realize they have DK Metcalf again, and they throw a deep ball to him in double coverage, and don't even get me started on one hell of a throw that Drew Lock threw to the back of the end zone to Jackson Smith and Jigba for the touchdown. The defense is not playing up to snuff at all. It might be the worst I've seen since the Juan Castillo days in Philly, which is not great. Brian Johnson needs to be fired because the offensive play calling is horrendous. Because I swear, if I see another running back sweep or a wide receiver / tight end screen, I think I'm going to turn into a wide receiver / tight end screen. So there's a lot of things that you could point at. There's a lot of things that are easily fixable. But at this point into the season, you can only do but so much. We're past the trade deadline. There's not really anybody in the free agency you can go get. There's only but so many coaching staff moves you can make. But, man, all I got to say is the best way to describe Philly right now is only one word. Is they're stinky. So there's that.
We like to do a thing where I split these two guys to talk about a defense and an offense. And I'm going to give Jeff to talk about the defense because I watched the game over again and I feel like there's so many missed opportunities that don't make sense. So I want you to explain what the Eagles did wrong. And then Joe gets to talk about what the Seahawks did right. So he gets the fun side.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, wonderful. So if you've been watching this show on Sunday mornings, there are times when we've talked about the Eagles and I've said this defense is different for several reasons. Why is it different from last year? Well, one of the main reasons was a special player you had at safety named Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You have not replaced him. I've said that several times. Last night was another inkling of that you haven't replaced him. Kevin Byard is a good player. He does not bring you to the table what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was able to do. A guy that can cover in the slot, that can cover a tight end, and play over the top. Byard doesn't do that as well as Johnson did. Sidney Brown can cover man, but he's learning how to play in space a lot better than he played in college. He was good at it, but he didn't see the kind of route structure he's seeing now. You're seeing those kind of mistakes. Now, sometimes it was a good play, okay? Now, if you look at the sequence on that final drive, then throw to DK Metcalf. Once again, we talk about the range of Sidney Brown coming over the top, gets there just a tad too late, where Metcalf is able to go over the corner and make the catch. Look at the touchdown throw to Njigba. It's the same look, but what happens is Sidney Brown comes down too soon because he's showing that deep look like I'm taking this receiver away, but he's trying to come down on the inside route. So he comes down too soon before the snap. Drew Lock sees it, throws over the top to Njigba for the touchdown, Smith-Njigba for the touchdown. So they tried to disguise looks. You have a younger player who's not used to disguising it, and what happens is you get caught by a veteran quarterback. And Drew Lock is a veteran quarterback at this point of his career. So kudos to those guys for actually seeing what the defense was doing in that situation. The Eagles just didn't make the plays, but they're also in a position where they're not going to make the same plays as last year because they don't have the same playmakers on defense.
I think getting beat by Drew Lock in this situation, the capacity, the team that has been fighting for a Super Bowl spot, it just doesn't look right. So, Joe, what did the Seattle Seahawks do right and, win?
Well, I think on offense, you got to give kudos to Drew Lock. He did what he was supposed to do. Game manager, shout out to Cam Newton. Only missing 10 passes, hitting 8 different receivers. And, of course, the best friend of any quarterback is going to be a solid running game. When you got Walker rushing for 86 yards, including that really fantastic touchdown run he had, I think that the offense was just set up for him to be successful. The biggest thing was a couple of plays there that made you scratch your head, that reminded you why Drew Lock is not a starter. But he did the most important thing, which is not turn over the ball and not lose the game for his team. And then having that running game just helped him a lot. And, of course, when it was time to make plays, his studs came and made plays. You got DK Metcalf out there who, like Thomas said, shut down for the majority of the game. But when it mattered and it was money time, he showed up. The rookie showed up with a great catch. It was a hell of a throw, but that catch was not easy by any means at all. So I think for Seattle, everything you had to do and wanted to do to be successful on offense, it happened.
I think it's safe to say since the Eagles got shook up from the Niners, they have not been able to recover. And they're just falling into this pattern of playing poor defense. But also, Jalen was wrong. He had time on the clock. He had timeouts to spare, and he decides to throw a ball to A.J. Brown that's uncatchable. I feel like that is poor decision making. We be bagging on Josh Allen for that same thing all the time, and Jalen did the same thing. I know he said that was a bad decision on his part, but it was just not a necessary pass. He could have just thrown it out of bounds at that point and regained the momentum for them. So, Thomas, wrap it up for us. How do you think your Eagles are going to improve to close out the season and at least stay on top of their division? Because that is what them and Dallas are doing right now.
I think it's very simple. You get your momentum back. You win the next 3 games. And you start getting healthy on defense. There's no other way to put it. I'll also say, to allude on to your point about Jalen's decision making late, if you watch that play, the facial expression on Hurts after he knew for sure that was an interception, he didn't want to make that decision. But he wanted to. But he knew that Brian Johnson called that play. And that the play said first read is look for AJ. So I'm going to take a shot with AJ, which is a legitimate guy to take a shot with in double coverage or any coverage for that matter, because he's 6'5" and he's built to be put in that situation. However, of course, Jalen Hurts being a franchise quarterback that he is, he's going to cover up for his guys. So I'm not surprised that he would go in the in the post game and say that. but that would be the blueprint. You get the momentum back. You start having to see the defense play well. Granted, I'm not going to really see anything because it's Giants and Cardinals for the rest of the way. But to have that momentum going into the playoffs, I think that's best case scenario.
Well, let's just hope that they clean things up and carry the momentum that they had to start the season, because I know Niner fans all over the place were celebrating that loss last night. Which, sorry to hand it to you.
This is nauseating. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was tough to watch the game close out for sure. I agree 100%.
And I was under the impression that'd be another one of those Monday night snoozers. I figured the Eagles would go up big and blow them out, and this game would be over by halftime. So I was very pleasantly surprised that the game ended up being a lot more competitive.
The switch of the spotlight got to them because it was supposed to be Chiefs-Pats originally, and then they...
Nope. Refuse.
Is that a cop-out answer?
Refuse. Nope. Sorry. You know what? This is the part that what has me in my dumps right now. It wasn't so much that we lost the game, okay? Because we lost 3 straight. That's bad enough. What gets me the most is that we lost to a team that didn't even know who was playing at quarterback when the game started. That by far, that is bad. That is bad. The number one position where everybody should know who's playing quarterback, and they don't know until the very first possession who starts at QB, and we lose to that team? Dog, no. Now this is darkness retreat material. That's why I'm here. That's exactly why.
So after this, you're going back in the dark.
See, look, this is where I'm supposed to be. Right here. But I'm breaking a lot of rules right now. Aaron Rodgers is not very proud of me, so he's going to get over it.
All right, let's move on from this loss and talk about something that doesn't affect your soul as much. We're going to talk about how the Cowboys got dominated by the Bills. This is a whole new Bills team, a complete 180. Josh Allen did not make any crazy errors, which I was very proud of him for as I was watching that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give Joe the defense for Dallas this time. What was wrong with them stopping James Cook? That guy was eaten.
I think the biggest thing was that they weren't expecting that. I mean, Buffalo has not been a running team all season, but now these last 2 games, the revelation is James Cook out there looking like Marshall Faulk. Dallas just inability to stop the running game. Josh Allen did not do anything spectacular through the pass, but there was no need to. They just kept on running the ball, whether it was running the ball directly at Micah Parsons or running up the middle. Dallas just had no answer for it, so there was no reason for him to drop back and throw the ball 35, 40 times. I think if I'm Dallas on the defensive side of the ball, we've got to get better and more stout against the run and force teams to throw the ball, because when they're forced to throw the ball, our front 4 is good enough to get a consistent pass rush. There's no need for us to do any kind of crazy blitzes or anything like that. So if I'm the defensive coordinator, if I'm Dan Quinn, we got to get tightened up on the run.
25 carries and 179 yards is like a fantasy god's dream. Okay,
Ooh,
that was
I could have used
very, very unexpected. I don't even know how to explain that. Jeff, tell us why. You could talk about your team pros and cons. Sorry, not your team. You could talk about the Dallas Cowboys pros and cons, because I'm very curious to hear your side of this.
I know he has thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Joe is right? If you want to talk about the defense, they're a small defense. What do you do to a small defense? You pound it into submission. Teams that are better and more physical at the line of scrimmage do that to Dallas, San Francisco, Philadelphia in the second half of that first game. Okay, when you're able to go downhill and run all over that defense, which really only has one linebacker. Otherwise, it's safeties. You're playing against the nickel and dime defense. With that kind of size mismatch, you have to run at it. So when you're in inclement weather like they were, with the rain, with the wind, you got to take advantage of it. Buffalo did that. All right, so they're going to Miami this week. Miami's another team that's physical. Expect them to try the same thing, right? But Dallas offensively, here's what we saw again. We always talk about that offensive line. Well, when defensive lines are able to take advantage of them physically, their offense stalls. When they played San Francisco's defensive line dominated theirs, their offense stalled. here we go again. Okay, they go out there against Buffalo. They can't get anything going consistently on the ground. Prescott has no time. Receivers can't get off the jam. And all of a sudden, you're stuck with 3 points when you're giving up 28. So right now, what the Dallas Cowboys have to look to do is find a way to be physical real fast. Because right now, when you get dominated physically at the offensive line, the game gets ugly. And that's what we've seen twice this season. When you dominate him at the line of scrimmage, third time. Arizona was another one. Okay? So when you dominate them at the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively, these games get ugly for the Cowboys. That's what they have to avoid. They have to come out fast. They have to be able to take the team's best shot and give it back. They're not giving it back right now.
Yeah, 10 points is not giving anything back. The Giants could do that. All right, Thomas.
Oh, really? Really?
They could.
Really? Are you sure about that?
I could have said the Raiders could do it, and they put up 63. They had 0 the week before. Anybody could do it. Okay, it's a week by week game.
Cutlets.
Okay. Sure. I just want to give a shout out to Buffalo because Josh Allen said it best himself. He feels like that was a game where he was a part of a group project and still got an A, even though he did absolutely nothing. Like when you talked about just a complete domination from the perspective on how they ran the football, because it wasn't you obviously you see the stats and you see what James Cook did, which was spectacular. They majority of those plays that they ran was in the same formation. 80% of their offense on Sunday was in the same formation. They just switched one or two things. Like they had a wrinkle here and there or whatever, but it literally was dedicated towards the same thing. We're going to run towards Michael Parsons' side. And whatever else happens after that, we'll take it. Well, if I got James Cook running the football in the manner that he has, which, by the way, this past Sunday isn't the only time that he's been doing this. He's been doing this for the past couple weeks now, okay? You giving him 4 yards before he even gets touched? Oh, yeah, sign me up for that all day long. It was almost like, and I did a skit on my podcast earlier today where I said, you know, I feel like the Bills and Josh Allen were going back and forth. They're like, hey Josh, you know what? We just need you to relax. You know what I mean? We got this. We got this. Don't worry about it. And Josh Allen's like, are you sure? Are you sure? You look, man, I can give you 25, completions, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I can do that now. The Bills like, nah, man, I got you. Trust us. We got him. We got a game plan. We got him. We're gonna hit him with something that they never seen before. James freaking Cook. What's that phrase? Let him cook. Boy, every time he touched the ball, it was a guaranteed first down. So great job by Buffalo. This was a momentum game for Buffalo, for both teams actually, but I'm glad, Buffalo took that momentum. And now not only are they hot, they're scorching right now with a schedule that goes very much so in their favor. They could very much so go from a team that we talked about being, in the rebuilding stages next year to making some hay in the playoffs and winning the division. Like, that's what we're talking about right now. So, Sean McDermott on defense is doing his part. Brady is doing his part, getting the run game going. Now, what do you do against Buffalo now? Because now you have to worry about James Cook. You kidding me? And he's not just running the football. Now he's catching stuff out the backfield. I'm like, what is going on? So great job by Buffalo. They definitely needed this, and now it's going to carry them for the rest of the way. So this was huge.
So
I guess you're saying it was Ken Dorsey, not the tablet, right?
All right, stop it. Nah, we ain't going to shame Ken Dorsey on this show. We ain't going to do that. Not on my watch. I refuse. But I will say that, the game planning that Joe Brady is dialing up right now is a lot more predicated towards balancing the offense out. And you're not asking for Josh Allen to be Superman. You're just asking him to, hey, Cam Newton, game manage. So, this is the second nod at Cam Newton. Jesus Christ. So you're basically saying, hey, Josh Allen, just manage the game, man. Like, we got this. We're good. And the fact that they're doing it at such a rate to where it's efficient on both sides of the football, like, the offense is benefiting the defense right now. That's how good it's getting. So they keep this up, man. I don't think anybody wants to see them in the playoffs right now. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, their last game of the season is against the Dolphins. Nice division matchup. And why don't you just tell me what you believe will go right for the Bills? You think they could pull that off? I believe they're in Miami. Yes.
Yeah, should be Miami.
And it'll be a rematch because they blew out Miami the first time in Buffalo.
Right.
So Miami will be looking to sew things up. So that's going to be a big matchup. But they got to get to that point clean. They can't afford to have any hiccups in between that. They're trailing in the division. They're closing the gap because Miami goes out and lose a game to the Giants like they did a couple of weeks ago. So they can't have any hiccups. They're right on Miami's heels. In order to catch Miami and make that game as meaningful as they need to be, they need to come out and continue to play the way they played the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think Miami can still pull out the division. It's all about Tyreek Hill's ankle. If the ankle's healthy, he can get back to playing the way he was playing before. I mean, the guy was on target for 2,000 yards receiving for the first time in history. I think it's Miami's division to lose. And I think if I'm a Buffalo fan, I'm a little greedy. Got to ask, where was this at the whole season? Like, why did we wait so long to get rid of Ken Dorsey? We could have probably been in better playoff position for a higher seeding had he made the move earlier. But, I mean, to Thomas's credit and to his point, they're definitely playing a lot better football lately.
Oh, Miami's division to lose? Are you sure about that? Okay. Okay.
That team is physical and nasty.
Here's the problem with Miami. Miami is the speedboat of the NFL. You know how you see somebody get that new Maserati in their parking lot? It looks very nice. It's shiny.
What kind of friends do you have? Maseratis.
Look. I don't have any of those friends, but I'm just putting the example out there because it's a thing, okay? You see the Maserati, you see it driving into the parking lot, you know what I mean? And it's like, ooh, look nice. And then you realize that you have to drive that thing when it's 25 degrees outside and 45 degrees, and it's, not suitable for a Maserati to be out there. And it's going to be out there in the snow. And then you realize, oh, wait, this may not be suitable for all characters here. And so with Miami, it's the same thing. Like, I want to trust Miami. I really do. I've been saying this the last 2 years. If Tua finds himself under pressure, the whole game is different. That's my concern. Everything else will fall into place. The defense is starting to do its thing. Tyreek Hill, obviously, his ankle is going to be a question mark for sure. But the fact that all it takes is for Tua to be under pressure is just a large concern to me. It really is. And when you're going against Buffalo, who is benefiting from the way the offense is playing right now, it gotta lend me to question, like, okay, Buffalo's off some momentum. They need this game. I don't know. It really does depend on the kind of pressure that Buffalo would preside against Tua in that game. Because if there is pressure, oh, trust me, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be really ugly.
To see a lot of pressure because they have a much more difficult schedule than the Bills have. Bills got the Chargers.
Yeah, for sure.
With whatever his name is, and the Patriots with whatever his name is, right? But the Bills got the Ravens with Mr. Lamar MVP fighting over here, and then about the other one.
Dallas. They got Dallas.
I just think Miami can get you however you want. I think the speed thing, and that's been the rap on the Dolphins for a long time, that if it's not 85 degrees outside, they can't win. But I think with McDaniel as coach, that kind of has changed a little bit because they can get physical and they can run the ball. If they're able to have a run game going, Tua can literally become Drew Lock 2.0, which just manage the game. Don't make mistakes. Take your shots when you can. I mean, if you think about it, that Miami team that lost in the playoffs last year to the Bills with their backup quarterback still gave the Bills a hell of a fight because they were able to run the ball. They were physical at the top. They just couldn't make the big plays in the passing game when the opportunity strikes. So, I mean, of course, Buffalo's a hot team now. I get it. But I think anybody who's writing off the Miami Dolphins might want to check themselves a little bit.
Fair.
I don't call Buffalo hot just yet. It's only been 2 games, okay?
That
This is a
exactly.
3-game win streak or
Right.
a 4-game win streak. It's been 2 games. But what do we get out of this Miami-Dallas matchup this week, right? Do we get a game similar to last week where a team is more physical than the other and it shows on the scoreboard? Or do we see some of the injuries and key players that are missing from Miami show up in this game where it becomes a shootout with these 2 offenses? Because I have a feeling they're going to put up points in this game against Dallas's defense. I think they're going to find a way to run the football and be consistent. I think they're going to find a way to make some plays down the field because of that running game. Tua is also going to get pressured at times. There's going to be some sacks in this game because Miami does have problems protecting at times. This Dallas pass rush can be fierce. Now, what happens with the Cowboys? Are they able to come out and go up and down the field knowing that there's no Jalen Phillips coming off the edge, that they are compromised at times at corner out there in Miami? Although they do have Jalen Ramsey back this week, but is he going to travel with CeeDee Lamb? So there's so many matchups with this defense against this Dallas offense that you have to look at and say, what is this matchup going to be? Is it going to be that shootout, or is it going to be another kind of physical game where the bully gets the best of the kid?
I think the Miami defense is the bully here because every single game they figure out how to make a quarterback commit an interception that could be a pick 6 or a very close, closer to the end zone. And I think that is what the Dallas offense needs to pay attention to, especially Dak, because he could be throwing things crazy. Jalen's doing it. Josh is doing it. It might be Dak's turn of the time. So that's one thing to look for. But we're going way too far ahead. We're talking like our Sunday, Christmas Day show, okay? So we're going to roll it back. We're going to bring it in because we've got some playoff predictions that we want to talk about. And our artist of the day, Jeff, has created a beautiful graphic for everybody to review with his playoff picture. So I think this is a very nice setup personally because I don't think anybody's going to beat the Niners, and we all can maybe agree or veto that idea. And the rest of the AFC looks exactly where you believe that they should be set up. So I'm going to let Jeff hit it first because it's his graphic. So
So that's the playoff picture as it sits right now. Are there teams on the bubble there we may not see in 3 weeks? Yes, Indianapolis is certainly one of those teams that may not have their helmet in that graphic when we come to the first round of the playoffs in a few weeks. Because plain and simple, we're getting a mixed bag out of Indianapolis. We've seen some really iffy games recently. We've seen Minshew get taken advantage of. We've seen Minshew really hot at this time, times this season. So what are we going to get out of Indianapolis the last 3 weeks? Can they hold on in that spot? The Rams, they're currently there. However, Green Bay was in had a prime opportunity to beat Tampa Bay and slide up into that area.
Blew it.
And they went and messed up in that one. Their defense didn't show up. So that's a whole big thing there. Will it be Dallas hosting that seed, or will it be Philadelphia? That's a whole other situation we got to look at. Minnesota somehow stays alive, but not so fast. That could easily be somebody else. That could be Atlanta right now, who's currently tied with Tampa Bay. So we got a lot of things to talk about with this picture we're looking at right now.
Yeah, the AFC South is just wild to me. I did not have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playoff contenders. Now, granted, 500 record, I understand. But when the season started, I thought this was going to be super rebuild mode. You bring in Baker Mayfield for a season that's kind of a one-year rental deal, but no real big impact. And somehow, some way, man, they found a way to get themselves 7 wins, and they're right in the hunt of the playoff picture. I agree with Jeff. I think some of those teams that are in there won't be there when the season ends. I'm not sure about the Colts or the Vikings, who kind of like what Thomas said, you don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Depends on what day of the week you wake up. I think in the NFC, we've seen clearly it's the 49ers conference to lose. I mean, they've just been dominant and just bullying people on both sides of the ball. And I think that Chase Young trade is still, you haven't seen the full effect of it yet. He's still getting better and better each game and getting acclimated to playing with the 49ers. So I think with them in the NFC, it kind of goes through them. And then with the AFC, even with all the drops, I still think somehow, some way, man, Patrick Mahomes will figure out a way to make his team be a factor when it comes to it. And this is a great opportunity for Lamar Jackson, probably his best playoff opportunity he's had so far, because the Ravens team looks really, really good.
Thomas.
I'm sorry. I had to laugh at the Atlanta. That was good. Nice job, Jeff. You had to throw him out there.
I mean, mathematically, they're still there.
Look. The best way to describe Atlanta is the same way I'm describing Philly right about now, and it's one word. I said it earlier. Stinky. Okay. Anytime you lose to Carolina, you don't deserve to be in the conversation for the playoffs.
Period.
Okay. That's just me. Oh boy. Can we shout out the Rams for what they're doing this year? I mean, at the beginning of the year, I thought for sure that this was going to be a lost season, especially with Matt Stafford being hurt. You didn't have Cooper Kupp to start off the year. Puka Nacua, what? Been sensational this year. And now they're starting to piece it up together. They're getting really healthy at the right time. Kyron Williams is starting to become that dude at running back. Oh my goodness, if you blink, he scores again. He's awesome. So I look for them to stay in and get into the playoffs here. Minnesota, man.
Exactly.
Tough.
I mean,
Exactly.
Here's the thing with Minnesota, right? Like, y'all are losing games that y'all should be winning. I know that's kind of weird to say, but like Cincinnati, especially with Jamar Chase having to separate his shoulder and just the inconsistency that was going on in that game. I know Jake Browning was great, but there was inconsistency going on in that field on Saturday, and y'all still couldn't get the job done with Justin Jefferson on the field. Of course, you know there's I don't even know what's going on at quarterback. So there's so many.
They don't even know what's going on with quarterback.
No. And honestly, that's a whole nother conversation with itself. So I just think, with that being said, I don't think Minnesota's going to be there. And you know, wait, is Seattle not on there right now?
They'd be on the outside looking in if the playoffs.
Yeah, they're not in the top 6 of the 7.
They're hunting.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, they are getting in. I'm sorry. It's just gonna have to be 3 teams in the NFC West, because Seattle has shown time and time again that you can never count them out. No matter who's at quarterback, even if they don't know who's at quarterback these days, it don't matter. You know, so I think Seattle is gonna slide in there. My biggest concern, man, on the AFC side is Jacksonville, man. Man, are they reeling? I just feel like they are.
Big expectations for those guys this season.
Man, so did I, man. I thought, you know, they would be in a conversation for number 1 seed, and they're just reeling right now. Lawrence doesn't look right at all. Obviously, they're missing Christian Kirk. That's very telling. But man, like it's bad. It's bad right now. And shout out to Kevin Stefanski and what he's doing in Cleveland, because I don't know about you, but if you had told me at the beginning of the season that, hey, the Browns are going to be 9-5 and they don't have Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson, I would have been like, what?
What crystal ball you got?
What are you talking about? So what he's doing right now, if he's not in your Coach of the Year conversation, I don't know what you're looking at. Indy's another one too. I know we're giving them a lot of strays right now because of the inconsistency that they're having on their front. But Shane Steichen doing what he's been able to do with Gardner Minshew at quarterback is very impressive, man. Being able to will them to these wins. And if I would have told you at the beginning of the year that they would be where they're at without Jonathan Taylor throughout most of the year, and without their star rookie quarterback, I wouldn't have believed you whatsoever. So I just think, it's going to get really interesting with the AFC because that wild card is going to be very insane. I don't think Buffalo gets in. I don't know who gets out per se, but I do think that Buffalo slides in there. Maybe takes out a Colts team. I don't know. It's very iffy, but it's going to look really, really interesting as we get close to the end of the season for them for sure.
What do you
There's
think?
a team
What do
that's
you
not
think,
on there.
Ashmere?
Yeah, there's a team that's not on there that's really a threat. And when they get their quarterback and CJ Stroud back this week,
Oh, absolutely.
Houston is an absolute threat
Yeah,
to get in.
I agree with that
Absolutely.
100%.
That's another first year team that when you talk about with brand new quarterback, brand new head coach, and all of a sudden a new direction and things are working out quicker than people expected it.
Hell yeah.
And you turn around, they could be easily in that spot where the Colts are. They could easily be in that spot where the Bengals are. So that's a team you still got to watch out for with 3 games left.
I'm my only thing with Houston is that I just think that with them being without Tank Dell, say what you want, but that is a crucial part of their offense.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
to
for
have
sure.
him be out for the year, is obviously showing in their offense. Like obviously they can't get into the spaces that they want to offensively, even with Stroud there. So hopefully, Stroud can overcome that. That's my only concern though. Outside of that, the defense is playing the way that they are. The offense is going to do this thing. And by the way, they're doing this without us saying Damian Pierce's name a whole lot this year. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
where is he? You know what I mean? So just the fact that Houston's been able to do what they've been doing this year with CJ, with a rookie offensive coordinator, with a rookie head coach. If D'Amico Ryans is not in your coach of the year conversation, what are we talking about? I mean, it's
Yeah,
just,
I think no matter what
Come
happens
on.
this season, if you're the Houston Texans, it's been a successful season. No matter what happens, playoffs,
Absolutely.
no playoffs, it's been a huge success.
Yes. So I mean, Houston definitely would be a threat. My number one concern is not having one of your top targets out there for the remainder of the year. It's just I don't know. It's going to hinder CJ Stroud a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. The Texans. I'm believing that they're going to get in there somehow. I think that their next 3 games look pretty promising. Browns, Titans, Colts, and I think CJ coming back. Dalton Schultz has been a huge help. Even though we're missing Tank, so I just think those with the matchups and the return of CJ is going to bring the Texans back because they're riding on a momentum that they've built from the beginning. And they've carried this entire season, and that's going to take out the Colts, I think, and that will also take out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
Colts
didn't
are the
check
team
before.
we all are out.
I didn't check before the show started. The separated shoulder with Jamar Chase out, missing games, going to play through the injury. What's the status of that? Anybody know?
Oh, so
Yeah, he's
as
not
far
playing this week.
as far as I'm concerned, he's going to try to play this week. I think they're going to use him as a decoy though. The problem is that when you have a separated shoulder, you're basically out there for practically nothing. It's just off the name alone. So I think best case scenario for them is to have Jamar Chase get some rest, maybe be out this week, maybe next week, and give it a go for the final game of the year if he's able to. But of course, they're going to try to do what they can to try to get him to play because they need him out there. I just don't think it makes sense. Given the nature of the injury, because I mean, say God forbid, knock on wood, but say he gets in a situation where he comes down on that shoulder, like what I mean. So what are you doing? So they're going to try to put him out there this week. They're going to see how he does in practice and everything, but I hope that he doesn't play. I hope they're
I
smart
think
enough to
they
not
said
let him
he's
play.
out. That's what my latest ESPN.
That's the
alert
nail in
said.
it. I think that might be the to Jeff's point about teams that are to Jeff's point about teams that are in the graphic that might not be there. That might be the nail in the coffin for the Bengals. Great little story for a couple of days with Burrow going out and Jake stepping in and kind of showing you flashes of what he used to do at University of Washington. But no Jamar Chase playing in the first final games. That might be the one that does the Bengals in. It might give some other team, Houston Texans primarily, a chance to slide into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reports I'm hearing is he's likely to be out week 16. That to me, coach speak, he's out week 16.
Yeah, right.
You're going to prolong the out diagnosis as long as you can. So by coming out this early that he's likely to be out, I would give that no more than a 25% chance that he plays this week. Now, there's still a 25% chance that he does play this week, but most likely you keep him out this week. You play him the last 2 weeks. He's definitely going to be getting a shot for that because the pain doesn't go away after a week. As we've seen with other players who've had the injury. Everybody knows about Emmitt Smith, who finished the Giant game with the injury.
Oh, God.
Had the good fortune of having a bye week afterwards, so he didn't have a game the next time. So by the time he went out in the playoffs. So I expect him to miss this week. He'll be back next week with whatever medical help they can give him, whatever support they can give him, whether it's a harness or what have you. And we'll see what he can do with one arm.
Okay, we're tiptoeing into a Sunday preview show again, so I'm going to reel us back in, and we're going to end this show with our early game predictions for Thursday and Saturday, which is similar. We're doing rapid fire, but early version, okay? So Thursday night, we've got the Saints versus the Rams in LA.
Rams.
That's not even a conversation. Next.
I hate to curse them, but give me the Rams.
I was going to say, we can't unanimous.
Why not?
I hate to curse them, but I'm picking the Saints this year has been a very risky proposition.
That's your boy, Ashmere.
You're watching our show.
Going against Derek Carr?
Right.
You've been watching our show.
Are you kidding me?
Every time we unanimously choose a team, they be losing. So we're cursed, just like a lot of other TV shows that do the same thing are. But, okay, we're all unanimous. We're all picking the Rams here. Yes. Then Saturday, we've got Bengals and Steelers.
Ooh.
Give me the Bengals. Even with the injuries, right now the Steelers aren't playing well. Now it's Mason Rudolph starting at quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't see them scoring enough points this week. I see this being another team's game for them. I think Cincinnati's going to score 20. So give me Cincinnati.
Same.
I'll take Cincinnati. But it's going to be.
Oh my God, we're all together again.
Yeah,
we've all seen Pittsburgh play.
That splits the curse up over two teams.
I just think the only reason why I was hesitant at first is because it's a divisional matchup. Anything weird stuff happens in the division game, and I know it's True. Pittsburgh. I know that they are clearly do not want to play for Mike Tomlin whatsoever anymore. That's being very evident. I just feel like with that being that staple alone of it being a division game, anything can happen. Stupid stuff happens all the time. You just never know. But I would say Bengals just for the simple fact that it's a revenge game for them, and they're pretty hot right now. Why not? Go for it.
Okay, our Saturday night game, and I think I know the answer to everybody's answer here. It's Bills Chargers. After what we just saw from that Chargers game.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, okay. I guess there's going to be a lot of teams in this category because the Chargers are another team that relates to Philly right now. They are stinky. like they're not even worth talking about right now. Bills all the way. Look, if you got to give them the 63-21 treatment, sure, whatever. Totally fine.
Yeah. Right now, the Chargers are a train wreck. Hopefully, with the coaching staff all on notice, knowing that they're going to be they're coaching for the jobs anywhere in this league next year, maybe that motivates this team a little more than they showed on Monday night versus the Raiders. But once again, you have injuries at wide receiver, injuries at quarterback. So right now, I'm going to go with the team that's a lot more healthy in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think the Buffalo Stampede continues.
I'm surprised we didn't have like an emergency podcast to talk about Brandon Staley being fired because we've all been like
it took long enough.
About that
I was about to say that's not even breaking news. That's just news. Like I don't even say if you can consider that to be news. That's just
no way. That man kept his job after losing in the wild card game last year.
Couldn't believe it.
I know. I know.
He had
but
tapes. He had some tapes. He has tapes
Yeah.
from the Stanos family. Some kind of video, some kind of audio that kept his job secure. Because I thought when that Jacksonville game went final, he'd walk home.
He was going to be gone the day after.
Yeah.
But to be fair to Chargers ownership, not only did they fire him, they got rid of the GM. So they know that it was a combo effort, which, you know, usually you get rid of the coach, but then you keep the GM, or it's vice versa. I'm glad that they cleaned house entirely. And by the way, who's coaching them this week? Does anybody know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Well, for all I know, it could be the fan that was going. Right.
So I mean, I know you mentioned the fact that other coaches are coaching for their job now, but I mean, you should have been doing that all year long, to be honest with you. And I'm saying right now,
could be a spark. That could be a spark. I mean, you see how the Raiders are playing under Antonio Pierce, so maybe with Staley out the building and the GM out the building, maybe for a quarter or two.
It's a different voice leading the room now, and that's the difference. Before they may have been coaching for their jobs, but it was the voice that was leading the room was still the prevailing voice. Now it's a lot more desperation in that room because nobody's guaranteed anything. So those guys are all sitting there. Whoever's leading the room, everybody's on the same page. We all got bills to pay. We got to go out there and coach our butt offs for 3 more weeks to show that we can coach in this league, and we need a job because, unfortunately, new regime means a lot of change.
So it's the former edge rushers coach, Giff Smith. I don't know if he uses the G or not, but that's who is coaching.
Okay.
Never heard of, but good luck. Good luck.
Great. Right. Anyways, please.
Well, this has been a very fun show, our midweek show before we come back to you all on Sunday morning, I believe, for Christmas Eve. Stay tuned. We'll have promo if that is the case. But thank you, everyone that tuned in. Thanks to my squad here. I had a lot of fun, a lot of football learning. If you've been tuned in for this entire 46 minutes, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Have an amazing Tuesday evening, and we'll see you guys back on Sunday morning, hopefully. If not, we'll see you after Christmas.